Further, in the unhindered clarity and wonder that ensues after the feeling skandha is gone, this good person is untroubled by any deviant mental state and experiences perfect bright concentration. Within samadhi, his mind craves more knowledge and understanding, so he diligently toils at examining and probing as he greedily seeks to know past lives. At that time, a demon from the heavens seizes the opportunity it has been waiting for. Each spirit possesses another person and uses him as a mouthpiece to expound the sutras and the Dharma. This person, unaware that he is possessed by a demon, claims he has reached unsurpassed nirvana. When he comes to see that good person who seeks knowledge, he arranges a seat and speaks the Dharma. There, in the Dharma assembly, inexplicably, that person may obtain an enormous precious pearl. The demon may sometimes change into an animal that holds the pearl or other jewels, bamboo tablets, tongues, talismans, letters, and other unusual things in its mouth. The demon first gives the objects to the person and afterwards possesses him, or he may fool his audience by burying the objects underground and then saying that a moonlight pearl is illuminating the place. Thereupon the audience feels they have obtained something unique. He may eat only medicinal herbs and not partake of prepared food. Or he may eat only one sesame seed or one grain of wheat a day and still look robust. That is because he is sustained by the power of the demon. He slanders bhikshus and scolds his assembly of disciples without fear of ridicule or rejection. He is fond of talking about treasure troves in other locations or of remote and hidden places where sages and worthies of the 10 directions dwell. Those who follow him often see strange and unusual people. This is a ghost or spirit of the mountain, forests, earth, cities, rivers, and mountains that in its old age has become a demon. The person it possesses may advocate promiscuity and violate the Buddha's precepts. He may covertly indulge in the 5 desires with his followers, or he may appear to be vigorous, eating only white plants. His behavior is erratic and he disturbs and confuses the good person. But when the demon dies, it will leave the other person's body. Then both the disciples and the teacher will get in trouble with the law. You should be aware of this in advance and not get caught up in the cycle of transmigration. If you are confused and do not understand, you will fall into the relentless hells. Further, in the unhindered clarity and wonder that ensues after the feeling skandha is gone, this good person is untroubled by any deviant mental state and experiences the perfect bright concentration. Within samadhi, his mind craves spiritual powers and all manner of transformations. So he investigates the source of transformations as he greedily seeks for spiritual powers. At that time, a demon from the heavens seizes the opportunity it has been waiting for. Each spirit possesses another person and uses him as a mouthpiece to expound the sutras and the Dharma. This person, truly unaware that he is possessed by a demon, also claims he has reached unsurpassed nirvana. When he comes to see that good person who seeks spiritual powers, he arranges a seat and speaks the Dharma. The possessed person may hold a fire in his hands and grasping a portion of it, put a flame on the head of each listener. In the fourfold assembly, the flames on top of their heads are several feet high, yet they are not hot and no one is burned. Or he may walk on water as if on dry land, or he may sit motionless in the air, or he may enter into a bottle or stay in a bag, or he may pass through window panes and walls without obstruction. Only when attacked by weapons does he feel ill at ease. He declares himself to be a Buddha and, wearing the clothing of a lay person, receives vows from bhikshus. He slanders dhyana meditation and the moral regulations. He scolds his disciples and exposes pupils' private affairs without fear of ridicule or rejection. He often talks about spiritual powers and self-mastery. He may cause pupils to see visions of Buddha lands, but they are unreal and arise merely from the ghost's power to delude pupil. He praises the indulgence of lust and does not condemn lewd conduct. He uses indecent means to transmit his drama. This is a powerful natural spirit, a mountain sprite, a sea sprite, a wind sprite, a river sprite, an earth sprite, or a grass and tree sprite that has evolved over long ages. It may be a dragon goblin or a rishi who has been reborn as a goblin, or again a rishi who, having reached the end of his appointed time, should have died, but whose body does not decay and is possessed by a goblin. In its old age, it has become a demon. It disturbs and confuses the good person, but when it ties up doing so, it will leave the other person's body. Then both the disciples and the teacher will get in trouble with the law. You should be aware of this in advance and not get caught up in the cycle of transmigration. If you are confused and do not understand, you will fall into the relentless hells. Further, in the unhindered clarity and wonder that ensues after the feeling skandha is gone, this good person is untroubled by any deviant mental state and experiences perfect bright concentration. Within samadhi, his mind craves to enter cessation, so he investigates the nature of transformations as he greedily seeks for profound emptiness. At that time, a demon from the heavens seizes the opportunity it has been waiting for. Its spirit possesses another person and uses him as a mouthpiece to expound the sutras and the drama. This person, unaware that he is possessed by a demon, claims he has reached unsurpassed nirvana. When he comes to see that good person who seeks emptiness, he arranges a seat and speaks the drama. In the midst of the great assembly, his physical form suddenly disappears and no one in the assembly can see him. Then out of nowhere he abruptly reappears. He can appear and disappear at will, or he can make his body transparent like crystal. From his hands and feet he releases the fragrance of sandalwood, or his excrement and urine may be sweet as thick rock candy. He slanders the precepts and is contemptuous of those who have led the home life. He often says that there is no cause and no effect, that once we die we are gone forever, that there is no afterlife, and that there are no ordinary people and no sages. Although he has obtained a state of empty stillness, he covertly indulges his greedy desires. Those who give in to his lust also adopt his views of emptiness and deny cause and effect. This is an essence that was created during an eclipse of the sun or moon, having fallen on gold, jade, a rare figure fungus, a unicorn, a phoenix, a tortoise, or a crane. The essence endowed it with life so that it did not die for thousands or tens of thousands of years, and eventually became a spirit. It was then born into this land and in its old age has become a demon. It disturbs and confuses the good person, but when it ties up doing so, it will leave the other person's body. Then both the disciples and the teacher will get in trouble with the law. You should be aware of this in advance and not get caught up in the cycle of transmigration. If you are confused and do not understand, you will fall into the relentless house. Further, in the unhindered clarity and wonder that ensues after the feeling skandha is gone, this good person is untroubled by any deviant mental state and experiences perfect bright concentration. Within samadhi, his mind craves long life, so he toils at investigating its subtleties as he greedily seeks for immortality. He wishes to cast aside the birth and death of the body, and suddenly he hopes to end the birth and death of thoughts as well, so that he can abide forever in a subtle form. At that time, a demon from the heavens seizes the opportunity it has been waiting for. Its spirit possesses another person and uses him as a mouthpiece to expound the sutras and the Dharma. This person, unaware that he is possessed by a demon, claims he has reached unsurpassed nirvana. When he comes to see that good person who seeks long life, he arranges a seat and speaks the Dharma. He is fond of saying that he can go places and come back without hindrance, perhaps traveling 10,000 miles and returning in the twinkling of an eye. He can also bring things back from wherever he goes, or he may tell someone to walk from one end of the room to the other, a distance of just a few paces. Then, even if the person walked fast for years, he could not reach the wall. Therefore, people believe in the possessed person and mistake him for a Buddha. He often says, "All beings in the 10 directions are my children. I gave birth to all Buddhas. I created the world. I am the original Buddha. I created this world naturally, not due to cultivation." This may be a Chamunda sent from the retinue of the demon in the heaven of sovereignty, or a youthful Bishatra from the heaven of the 4 kings that has not yet brought forth the resolve. It takes advantage of the person's luminous clarity and devours his essence and energy. Or perhaps without having to rely on a teacher, the cultivator personally sees a being that tells him, "I am a Vara spirit who has come to give you long life." Or the being transforms itself into a beautiful woman and engages him in frenzied lust, so that within a year his vitality is exhausted. He talks to himself and to another listening, and to anyone listening he sounds like a goblin. The people around him do not realize what is happening. In most cases, such a person will get into trouble with the law, but before he is punished, he will die from depletion. The demon disturbs and confuses the person to the point of death. You should be aware of this in advance and not get caught up in the cycle of transmigration. If you are confused and do not understand, you will fall into the relentless house. Ananda, you should know that in the Dharma ending age, these 10 kinds of demons may live the whole life to cultivate the way within my Dharma. They may possess other people, or they may manifest themselves in various forms. All of them will claim that they have already accomplished proper and pervasive knowledge and awareness. They praise lust and break the Buddha's moral precepts. The evil demonic teachers and their demonic disciples that I just discussed transmit their teaching through licentious activity. Such deviant spirits take over cultivators' minds, and after as few as 9 lives, or as many as 100 generations, they turn true practitioners entirely into followers of demons. When their lives are over, they are bound to end up as one of the demonic odds. They will lose their proper and pervasive knowledge and fall into the relentless hells. You need not enter nirvana yet, although you are completing your attainment to the level beyond learning. Hold nonetheless to your vows to enter the Dharma ending age. Bring forth great compassion to rescue and take across living beings who have a proper mind and deep faith. Do not let them become possessed by demons. Help them instead to attain proper knowledge and views. I have already rescued you from birth and death. By venerating the Buddha's words, you will be repaying the Buddha's kindness. Ananda, all 10 of these states may occur in dhyana as one's mental effort interacts with the thinking skandha. Dull and confused, living beings do not evaluate themselves. Encountering such situations in their confusion, they fail to recognize them and say that they have become sages, thereby uttering a great lie. They will fall into the relentless hells. In the Dharma ending age after my nirvana, all of you should pass on the Tathagata's teachings so that all living beings can awaken to their meaning. Do not let the demons of the heavens have their way. Offer protection so that all can realize the unsurpassed way. Ananda, when the good person who is cultivating samadhi has put an end to the thinking skandha, he is ordinarily free of dreaming and idle thinking, so he stays the same whether in wakefulness or in sleep. His mind is aware, clear, empty, and still like a cloudless sky. Devoid of any coarse sense impressions, he contemplates everything in the world, the mountains, the rivers, and the earth, as reflections in a mirror, appearing without attachment and vanishing without any trace. They are simply received and reflected. He does away with all his old habits, and not only the essential truth remains. From this point on, as the origin of production and destruction is exposed, he will completely see all the 12 categories of living beings in the 10 directions. Although he has not fathomed the source of their individual lives, he will see that they share a common basis of life which appears as a mirage, shimmering and fluctuating, and is the ultimate pivotal point of the illusory faculties and sense objects. This is the region of the formation skandha. Once the basic nature of this shimmering fluctuation returns to its original clarity, his habits will cease like waves subsiding to become clear, calm water. This is the end of the formation skandha. This person will then be able to transcend the turbidity of living beings, contemplating the cause of the formation skandha. One sees that subtle and hidden false thoughts are its source. Ananda, you should know that when the good person has obtained proper knowledge in his practice of shamatha, his mind is unmoving, clear, and proper, and it cannot be disturbed by the 10 kinds of demons from the heavens. He is now able to intently and thoroughly investigate the origin of all categories of beings. As the origin of each category becomes apparent, he can contemplate the source of the subtle, fleeting, and pervasive fluctuation. But if he begins to speculate on that pervasive source, he could fall into error with two theories of the absence of cause. First, perhaps this person sees no cause for the origin of life. Why? Since he has completely destroyed the mechanism of production, he can, by means of the 800 merits of the eye organ, see all beings in the swirling flow of karma during 80,000 aeons, dying in one place and being reborn in another as they undergo transmigration, but he cannot see beyond 80,000 aeons. Therefore, he concludes that for the last 80,000 aeons, living beings in the 10 directions of these and other worlds have come into being without any cause. Because of this speculation, he will lose proper and pervasive knowledge, fall into externalism, and become confused about the body nature. Second, perhaps this person sees no cause for the end of life. And why? Since he perceives the origin of life, he believes that people are always born as people and birds are always born as birds, that crows have always been black and swans have always been white, that humans and gods have always stood upright and animals have always walked on four legs, that whiteness does not come from being washed, and blackness does not come from being dyed, and that there have never been nor will there be any changes for 80,000 aeons. He says, as I now examine to the end of this life, I find the same holds true. In fact, I have never seen Bodhi, so how can there be such a thing as the attainment of Bodhi? You should now realize that there is no cause for the existence of any phenomena. Because of this speculation, he will lose proper and pervasive knowledge, fall into externalism, and become confused about the body nature. This is the first external teaching, which postulates the absence of cause. Ananda, in his practice of samadhi, the good person's mind is unmoving, clear, and proper, and can no longer be disturbed by demons. He can thoroughly investigate the origin of all categories of beings and contemplate the source of the subtle, fleeting, and constant fluctuation. But if he begins to speculate on its pervasive constancy, he could fall into error with four theories of pervasive permanence. First, as this person thoroughly investigates the mind and its states, he may conclude that both are causeless. Through his cultivation, he knows that in 20,000 aeons, as beings in the 10 directions undergo endless rounds of birth and death, they are never annihilated. Therefore, he speculates that the mind and its states are permanent. Second, as this person thoroughly investigates the source of the four elements, he may conclude that they are permanent in nature. Through his cultivation, he knows that in 40,000 aeons, as living beings in the 10 directions undergo births and deaths, their substances exist permanently and are never annihilated. Therefore, he speculates that this situation is permanent. Third, as this person thoroughly investigates the sixth sense faculty, the manas, and the consciousness that grasps and receives, he concludes that the origin of mind, intellect, and consciousness is permanent. Through his cultivation, he knows that in 80,000 aeons, as all living beings in the 10 directions revolve in transmigration, this origin is never destroyed and exists permanently. Investigating this undestroyed origin, he speculates that it is permanent. Fourth, since this person has ended the source of thoughts, there is no more reason for them to arise. In the state of flowing, halting, and turning, the thinking mind, which was the cause of production and destruction, has now ceased forever, and so he naturally thinks that this is a state of non-production and non-destruction. As a result of such reasoning, he speculates that this state is permanent. Because of these speculations of permanence, he will lose proper and pervasive knowledge, fall into externalism, and become confused about the body nature. This is the second external teaching which postulates pervasive permanence. Further, in his practice of samadhi, The good person's mind is firm, unmoving, and proper, and can no longer be disturbed by demons. He can thoroughly investigate the origin of all categories of beings and contemplate the source of the subtle, fleeting, and constant fluctuation. But if he begins to speculate about self and others, he could fall into error with theories of partial impermanence and partial permanence based on four distorted views. First, as this person contemplates the wonderfully bright mind pervading the 10 directions, he concludes that this state of profound stillness is the ultimate spiritual self. Then he speculates, my spiritual self, which is settled, bright, and unmoving, pervades the 10 directions. All living beings are within my mind, and there they are born and die by themselves. Therefore my mind is permanent, while those who undergo birth and death, they are truly impermanent. Second, instead of contemplating his own mind, this person contemplates in the 10 directions wounds, as many as the Ganges sends. He regards as ultimately impermanent those wounds that are in aeons of decay, and as ultimately permanent those that are not in aeons of decay. Third, this person closely examines his own mind and finds it to be subtle and mysterious, like fine motes of dust swirling in the 10 directions and changing in nature, and yet it can cause his body to be born and then to die. He regards that indestructible nature as his permanent intrinsic nature, and that which undergoes birth and death and flows forth from him as impermanent. Fourth, knowing that the skandha of thinking has ended and seeing the flowing of the skandha of formations, this person speculates that the continuous flow of the skandha of formations is permanent, and that the skandhas of form, feeling, and thinking which have already ended are impermanent. Because of these speculations of impermanence and permanence, he will fall into externalism and become confused about the body nature. This is the third external teaching, which postulates the partial permanence.